What if everything you've been told about good soil is completely wrong? What if the worst patch of land on your property, the dry, rocky, lifeless ground you gave up on, could actually grow more fruit than your best garden bed? Most people spend years fixing soil, compost, fertilizer, perfect drainage. But some fruit trees don't want perfect soil. They reject it. They evolved in harsh, unforgiving conditions where other plants fail. They dominate. And today, we're revealing 13 fruit trees that don't just survive bad soil. They turn it into an advantage. Stay with me because one of these trees produces the largest native fruit in North America, with a tropical flavor, and it thrives in soil that kills apple trees. Let's begin. Number 13, Seabuckthorn. Imagine a plant so tough, it was used to feed people in the harshest environments on Earth. That's exactly why Soviet scientists relied on Seabuckthorn. This isn't just a fruit tree. It's a survival system. It grows where nothing else will: sand, salt, gravel, even completely depleted soil. But here's the part that changes everything. While it grows, it actually repairs your soil. Seabuckthorn pulls nitrogen from the air and injects it into the ground, turning dead soil into fertile land over time. And the fruit, loaded with up to 7 times more vitamin C than oranges. No fertilizers, no perfect conditions, just sunlight and bad soil. Even extreme cold doesn't stop it. This tree survives temperatures down to minus 40 degrees Celsius. In other words, your worst land doesn't stay useless. It becomes a self-repairing food source. Number 12, Mulberry. If there was ever a fruit tree that completely ignores soil quality, it's the mulberry. This tree doesn't just tolerate bad conditions, it thrives in places that shouldn't grow anything at all. Sidewalk cracks, abandoned lots, piles of rubble. Places where most plants die, mulberry takes over. And here's why it's so powerful. Clay soil, it doesn't care. Sandy soil, no problem. Rocky ground, still growing. Too wet, fine. Too dry, also fine. Once a mulberry tree is established, it becomes nearly impossible to kill. But the real shock isn't how tough it is. It's how much it produces. A single mature tree can yield over 100 pounds of fruit every year. Sweet, dark berries that you almost never see in stores. Why? Because they're too delicate to transport. They spoil too fast. Which means, if you want them, you have to grow them. And that creates a hidden advantage. While everyone else is buying bland, shipped fruit, your worst patch of land could be producing something fresher, sweeter, and impossible to find commercially. For thousands of years, entire industries depended on mulberry trees, especially silk production in Asia. Not because they were easy to grow, but because they grow anywhere. Number 11, Aronia. Now here's where things get even more interesting. Because this next fruit isn't just tough. It's one of the most powerful superfruits ever tested. According to laboratory analysis by the United States Department of Agriculture, Aronia berries contain the highest antioxidant levels ever recorded in any fruit. Higher than blueberries, higher than acai, higher than almost every superfood imported from tropical regions. But unlike those fruits, Aronia doesn't need perfect soil. It actually prefers the opposite. Wet ground, compacted soil, cold climates, places where most fruit trees would fail within a single season. Aronia establishes itself and then thrives with almost zero care. No serious pests, no major diseases, no constant maintenance. And within just 2 to 3 years, it starts producing fruit. The taste, raw. It's sharp and astringent, which is why it's often called chokeberry. But once processed into juice, jam, or wine, it transforms into something rich, deep, and highly valuable. That's exactly why countries like Poland turned Aronia into a major commercial crop, even in harsh climates where other fruits struggle. Meanwhile, most growers still ignore it, which creates an opportunity. Because your problem area, that wet, compacted corner of your land, could quietly become a source of one of the most nutrient-dense fruits on Earth. Number 10, Elderberry. Most people see a wet, soggy corner of land and think it's useless. Too much water, too much clay, nothing grows properly. But that exact condition is perfect for elderberry. This is not a tree that tolerates bad soil. It wants it heavy. Waterlogged clay that suffocates other roots is where elderberry thrives. And here's why that matters right now, more than ever. elderberry has exploded in demand, especially for immune support products, syrups, extracts, supplements. In recent years, demand has surged so fast that producers struggle to keep up. And yet, most landowners ignore the one place elderberry grows best: their worst, wettest soil. But here's the opportunity. Elderberry starts producing in just 2 to 3 years. It requires very little care once established, and it turns a problem zone into something profitable. Some varieties like York and Nova are known for heavy, reliable yields. And the fruit? It can be processed into syrup that sells at premium prices, meaning that neglected, swampy patch of land could quietly become one of the most productive areas on your property. Not despite the bad soil, but because of it. Number 9. Goumi. Most fruit trees take nutrients from the soil. This one gives them back. Goumi is one of the rare fruit plants that doesn't just survive in poor soil. It improves it while producing food. Here's how it works. Hidden beneath the roots are tiny nodules filled with nitrogen-fixing bacteria. They pull nitrogen directly from the air and deposit it into the soil, which means the worse your soil is, the more valuable this tree becomes. Because while you're harvesting fruit, the ground itself is slowly getting better. And the fruit. Small mature red berries with a perfect balance of sweet and tart. Used for centuries in Japanese and Korean cuisine. Completely edible, nutrient-dense, and almost impossible to find in stores. But here's what makes Goumi truly powerful for a survival orchard. It's drought-tolerant. It grows in poor, depleted ground. It doesn't need constant care, and it produces reliably once established. Even better, while it grows, it creates a better environment for other fruit trees planted nearby. So instead of fixing your soil first, you plant Goumi and let it do the work for you. Your worst land doesn't stay bad. It becomes a self-improving food system. Number 8. Serviceberry. Long before modern orchards existed, indigenous communities across North America relied on one fruit more than most people today have ever heard of: the serviceberry. This isn't just another berry bush. It's a survivor of extreme conditions, rocky ground, shallow soil, and harsh climates. The kind of land where most fruit trees simply can't establish roots. Serviceberry quietly thrives, and that's because it evolved there. No need for deep, rich soil. No need for heavy fertilizing. No need for constant care. Just plant it and let it adapt the way it always has for thousands of years. The fruit. Small, dark, and similar to blueberries, but with a richer, slightly nutty flavor. For generations, it was a key ingredient in pemmican, a high-energy survival food that sustained long journeys. And today, modern breeding programs, especially from the University of Saskatchewan, have developed improved varieties like Smoky and Martin, making it even more productive than ever before. But here's the real advantage. Serviceberry survives extreme cold down to -50 degrees Celsius. That means land considered too harsh for fruit production is actually perfect for this plant. There is one catch: birds love it, and they will take your harvest if you're not careful. But that's a small problem to have, when your rocky, unusable land suddenly turns into a reliable source of fruit. Number 7. Medlar. There was a time when every serious garden in Europe had one of these. Writers like William Shakespeare mentioned it. Victorian gardeners prized it. Then it vanished. Not because it was weak, but because it didn't fit modern agriculture. This is the medlar, a fruit tree that thrives in the exact conditions most growers avoid. Poor clay soil, neglected ground, low-maintenance environments. Places where modern fruit trees struggle, medlar quietly succeeds. It doesn't demand rich soil. It doesn't need constant pruning. It doesn't rely on perfect care. In fact, the less you interfere, the better it often performs. But what really makes medlar different is how you eat it. You don't pick it and eat it fresh. You harvest it late, often after frost, then let it sit. Days pass, sometimes weeks, until the fruit softens into a rich, almost honey-like texture. Sweet, aromatic, and completely unlike anything sold in stores. That's exactly why it disappeared from modern markets. It doesn't ship well. It doesn't look appealing on shelves. But for anyone growing their own food, it's a hidden gem. Even better, medlar is self-fertile. One tree is enough to produce fruit. And once established, it asks almost nothing from you. Your heavy clay soil, the kind most gardeners complain about, could actually be the perfect place to grow a fruit that almost no one else has access to. Number 6. Quince. Long before apples dominated orchards, there was another fruit known as the golden apple, quince. For over 4,000 years, cultures around the Mediterranean cultivated it in conditions that would destroy most modern fruit trees. And here's the surprising truth. The exact soil that kills apples and pears is where quince performs best. Heavy clay, poor drainage, alkaline ground. The kind of soil most growers try to fix. Quince accepts it, even prefers it. While other trees struggle to breathe in dense soil, quince adapts. It doesn't fight the conditions. It uses them. And the result? A fruit so aromatic, it can perfume an entire room just by sitting on your table. Raw, it's too hard and tart to enjoy. But once cooked, it transforms. Rich, sweet, deeply fragrant, the foundation of traditional foods like quince paste membrillo, famous in Spain and beyond. And from a growing perspective, quince is reliable. It produces within 4 to 5 years. It can grow as a single tree, self-fertile, and it thrives where many orchards fail completely. Which means this: the heavy clay soil that frustrates your gardening efforts might already be perfect. Not for apples, not for pears, but for a fruit tree that has been quietly thriving for thousands of years under those exact conditions. Number 5. Jujube. There are fruit trees that need care. And then there are fruit trees that simply refuse to die. Jujube belongs to the second category. For over 5,000 years, it has been cultivated across harsh regions of Asia, places with poor soil, extreme heat, and long droughts. Conditions that would wipe out most modern orchards. But jujube doesn't just survive there, it thrives. There's an old proverb in China: eat 3 jujubes a day, and you won't need a doctor. And once you understand how this tree grows, that starts to make sense. Because jujube doesn't rely on surface conditions. It sends a deep taproot straight down into the earth, reaching water sources other trees can't even access. Which means drought doesn't stop it, poor soil doesn't slow it, alkaline conditions don't damage it. In fact, the exact soil that causes other fruit trees to fail, yellow leaves, weak growth, low yields, is often ideal for jujube. And here's another advantage most growers overlook. It has almost no serious pest or disease problems. No constant spraying, no complicated care routines. Just plant it and let it do what it's done for thousands of years. The fruit itself is unique. Fresh, it tastes like a crisp apple with a hint of sweetness. Dried, it becomes chewy and rich, similar to dates. 2 different experiences from the same tree. And production. Reliable. Within 3 to 4 years, it starts yielding. Varieties like sugarcane and Lee are known for heavy crops and consistency, which means your dry, alkaline, hopeless ground could actually support one of the most resilient fruit trees ever cultivated. Not despite the conditions, but because of them. Number 4. Pawpaw. Now this is where things start to feel unreal, because this fruit tastes like it came from the tropics, but it grows in temperate forests. Meet the pawpaw. A fruit so unique that even Thomas Jefferson grew it at his estate, and explorers like Meriwether Lewis and William Clark relied on it during survival journeys. And once you understand where it grows, you'll see why it's on this list. Pawpaw doesn't want perfect soil. It prefers the forest floor, shaded areas, moist, heavy clay, low-light environments. The exact conditions that make most fruit trees struggle. Pawpaw calls home. But here's what makes it truly different. It produces the largest edible fruit native to North America. And the flavor: creamy, sweet, often compared to a mix of banana, mango, and custard. A tropical experience from a tree growing in what most people consider bad soil. And just like many of the best fruits on this list, you almost never see it in stores. Why? Because it doesn't ship well. It ripens quickly, spoils fast, which means if you want it, you have to grow it yourself. There is one important detail, though. Pawpaw needs 2 genetically different trees for pollination. Not just 2 plants, 2 different varieties. But once that's set up, it becomes one of the most rewarding trees you can grow in difficult conditions, especially in shaded, clay-heavy areas most people ignore. So that dark, damp corner of your land, the place where nothing seems to work. could actually produce one of the most unique fruits you will ever taste. Number 3. Pomegranate. Most fruit trees need rich soil to produce well. Pomegranate does the opposite. Give it perfect soil, and you may get more leaves than fruit. Give it poor, rocky ground, and suddenly it starts producing heavily. This tree has been cultivated for thousands of years across the Mediterranean in dry, harsh landscapes where irrigation was limited and soil was far from ideal. It even appears in ancient texts and traditions, showing just how long humans have relied on it. But the real secret lies underground. When roots are restricted by poor, rocky soil, the tree shifts its energy. Less growth, more fruit. Instead of wasting energy on leaves and branches, it focuses on reproduction, which means higher yields under worse conditions. And once established, pomegranate becomes incredibly drought-tolerant. It can survive long periods with minimal water, making it perfect for unpredictable climates. The fruit itself is well known. Juicy, vibrant seeds packed with antioxidants. But what most people don't realize is this: the quality of the fruit often improves in poor soil. More concentrated flavor, richer sweetness, because the tree is under just enough stress to push its limits. It doesn't need pampering. It performs best when challenged. And within just 2 to 3 years, it can start producing. So that rocky, dry area you've been ignoring might actually be the perfect place for a fruit tree that rewards neglect. Number 2. Figure. Walk through old villages in Italy or Greece, and you'll see something strange. Fig trees growing straight out of stone walls, from cracks in rock, from soil so poor it barely exists. And yet, they're loaded with fruit. This isn't an accident. It's exactly how fig trees are designed to grow. Here's the counterintuitive truth most people never learn. The worse the soil, the better the fruit. Because poor, rocky ground restricts root growth. And when roots are restricted, the tree changes its strategy. Instead of expanding endlessly, it concentrates everything into fruit production. Less leaves, less wasted energy, more figs. But when you plant figs in rich, perfect soil, you often get the opposite: huge leafy growth and very little fruit. That's why ancient growers didn't improve their soil. They left it poor on purpose. And the results speak for themselves. Once established, fig trees produce heavily year after year. They're self-fertile, you only need one tree. They can start fruiting in as little as 1 to 2 years. And like many of the best fruits on this list, fresh figs are rarely found in stores. They don't transport well, they spoil quickly, which means the best figs in the world are the ones you grow yourself. So that rocky, dry, worthless ground could actually outperform rich garden beds. Not because you fixed it, but because you didn't. Number 1. American persimmon. If there is one tree on this list that completely destroys the idea of bad soil, it's this one, American persimmon. This is not just a tough tree. It's a tree that turns the worst soil on your land into abundance. Even George Washington once called it his favorite fruit. And early settlers documented how native communities relied on it for survival, especially after frost, when the fruit transformed into something incredibly sweet. But here's what makes it number 1. It goes deeper than any other tree on this list. A powerful taproot drives straight down into the subsoil, reaching water and nutrients far below the surface. Which means, clay soil it thrives, depleted ground it adapts, drought it survives. While other fruit trees struggle near the surface, persimmon taps into resources they can't reach. And the production. This is where it becomes almost unbelievable. A single mature tree can yield 300 to 500 pounds of fruit every year. From land most people would consider useless. But there's one detail you need to know. Before fully ripe, the fruit is extremely astringent, almost inedible. But after ripening, especially after frost, it transforms soft, honey-sweet, rich, almost custard-like. And just like many of the most valuable fruits on this list, you won't find it in stores. It doesn't ship well, which means the only way to experience it is to grow it yourself. Your heavy clay soil, the kind that frustrates everything else, might already be perfect for one of the most productive fruit trees you could ever plant. So here's the truth most people never realize. Your soil isn't the problem. It's the mismatch. You don't need to fix your land. You need to match it. Sand and salt, grow Seabuckthorn. Any condition at all, plant Mulberry. Wet, swampy ground, Elderberry thrives. Dry, alkaline soil, Jujube dominates. Rocky terrain, Fig and Pomegranate excel. Heavy clay, Persimmon and Pawpaw take over. The land you thought was useless is actually specialized. Waiting for the right tree? Start with just a few from this list. And within a few years, you won't be fixing your soil anymore. You'll be harvesting from it. If this changed the way you see your land, subscribe and tell me in the comments. What kind of bad soil are you dealing with? Because the right tree for it might already be on this list.